The alarms screamed through the cockpit like dying animals. Katie Morgan's hands moved across the control panel, trying to stop what she already knew was coming. The ship was going down and there was nothing she could do about it. "Engine 3 is gone," Danny shouted from the co-pilot seat. His face was pale, sweat dripping down his forehead. "4 is failing!" Katie didn't answer. She was too busy fighting with the controls, trying to keep the nose up. Through the viewport, she could see the planet rushing up to meet them. It was covered in thick green jungle with storms rolling across the surface like angry giants. This was not where they were supposed to be. The cargo ship Frontier Dawn had been carrying supplies to a mining outpost 3 systems away. Simple job. Easy money. Katie had done it 100 times before. But then the engines had started failing, one after another, like dominoes falling. Now they were crashing on a planet that wasn't even on their route. "Brace for impact," Katie yelled. The ship hit the jungle canopy hard. Trees exploded around them as the hull tore through branches thick as buildings. Metal screamed. Something exploded in the back. Katie's head slammed against her restraints as the ship bounced, rolled, and finally came to a stop at an angle that made her stomach turn. For a moment, there was only silence. Then the emergency lights kicked on, bathing everything in red. "Danny?" Katie's voice was rough. "Lisa? Here," Danny groaned. I think something's wrong inside. Hurts to breathe." Katie unbuckled and pulled herself up. The gravity felt wrong, heavier than it should be. Every movement took more effort than normal. She made her way to Danny's seat and saw the blood on his lips. "Internal bleeding, bad, Lisa!" Katie called again. "I'm okay." The engineer's voice came from the back. "Arm's broken, but I'm alive." Katie helped Danny out of his seat, moving him carefully to the small medical bay. He was trying not to show how much pain he was in, but she could see it in his eyes. They had maybe 2 days before the internal bleeding killed him, maybe less. The ship's medical kit had basic supplies, but nothing that could fix this kind of damage. Lisa appeared in the doorway, cradling her left arm. Her face was bruised, but she was walking. "The communication array is destroyed," she said. "Emergency beacon is damaged. I might be able to fix it, but I need parts and time." Katie looked at Danny lying on the medical bed, then at Lisa with her broken arm, then at the red emergency lights painting everything the color of blood. "They were in serious trouble. Where are we?" Danny asked weakly. Katie moved to the cockpit and pulled up what was left of the navigation system. Most of it was fried, but the basic database still worked. She entered their last known coordinates and waited for the computer to figure out where they had crashed. When the answer came up on the screen, Katie felt her blood go cold. "No," she whispered. "What is it?" Lisa asked, coming up behind her. Katie pointed at the screen. Krell 7. The name didn't mean anything to Lisa, but the computer was already pulling up files. Official reports from the Galactic Council. Warning messages in 6 different languages. A death counter that made Katie's hands shake. Krell 7 was classified as a deathworld. Gravity 40% higher than Earth. Atmosphere breathable but filled with toxic spores. Jungle so thick that satellites couldn't see through it. And the predators. The reports called them Vorathians. 47 expeditions, Katie read out loud. 0 survivors. What? Lisa's voice cracked. Katie scrolled through the reports. Ship crashes, research teams, military scouts, all dead. The files showed pictures of the Vorathians, and Katie understood why no one survived. The creatures were massive, standing 12 feet tall, with 4 arms ending in claws that could tear through metal. Their bodies were covered in natural armor plating, and their faces looked like something from a nightmare. But what made Katie's skin crawl was the intelligence report. The Vorathians could speak. They understood language. They knew what fear was, and they used it. "We need to leave," Lisa said. "We need to get off this planet right now." "With what ship?" Katie gestured at the destroyed cockpit around them. "We're not flying anywhere. And Danny can't walk. Then what do we do?" Katie looked at the reports again. 47 expeditions, 0 survivors. She thought about her ranch back in Montana, about the bulls her father had taught her to handle. He used to say that a bull didn't care how scared you were. You either stood your ground or you got trampled. "We survive," Katie said. "We fix that beacon, we call for help, and we keep Danny alive until rescue comes. The reports say no one survives here." "The reports are about people who already died," Katie said. "We're still breathing." They spent the rest of the day taking stock of what they had. 3 days of rations split between 3 people, 2 plasma pistols with half charges, Basic medical supplies, ship debris that could maybe be used as weapons or tools. It wasn't much, but it was something. Katie went outside to scout the area while Lisa worked on the beacon. The jungle was thick and dark, even though it was midday. The trees were huge, their trunks wider than the ship. Strange sounds echoed through the foliage, animal calls that didn't sound like anything Katie had heard before. The air was heavy and damp, and every breath felt like swallowing water. She found claw marks on the trees. Deep gouges in wood that should have been too hard to cut. Some of the marks were old, but some were fresh. Something big lived here, and it had been here recently. When night fell, Katie and Lisa took turns keeping watch. Danny was sleeping, his breathing shallow and painful. Lisa had managed to get the beacon partially working, but it needed a power source they didn't have. Around midnight, Katie heard something moving in the jungle. Something big. Trees creaked as it passed. The ground shook with its footsteps. Katie raised her plasma pistol, her heart hammering against her ribs. Then came the roar. It was so loud that it seemed to vibrate through the air itself, through the ground, through Katie's bones. It was a sound designed to terrify, to make prey freeze in fear. And then, impossibly, the roar became words. Broken and rough, but understandable. Soft things. New prey. No human survives here. We feast soon. The voice faded into the jungle, followed by something that might have been laughter. Katie stood in the darkness, pistol raised, and realized something important. The creature could speak, which meant it could think. It could plan. It could understand fear, but fear was a two-way street. And Katie Morgan had never learned how to quit. Morning came slowly to Krell 7, the light filtering through the thick canopy like dirty water. Katie hadn't slept. She'd spent the whole night watching the jungle, waiting for another attack that never came. The creatures were playing with them. She knew it in her gut. Danny was worse. His skin had a gray color that made Katie's chest tight with worry. He needed real medical help, the kind that came from hospitals and doctors, not from a basic first aid kit. They had maybe 48 hours before he died, probably less. How's the beacon? Katie asked Lisa, who was elbow deep in wiring and spare parts. I can fix it, Lisa said, not looking up. But it needs power. A lot of power. The ship's cells are dead, and I can't find anything strong enough to broadcast a signal past this planet's atmosphere. Katie nodded. She'd figured as much. Keep working on it. I'm going to scout the area, see if I can find water and figure out what we're dealing with. You're going out there alone? Lisa looked up, eyes wide. After last night? Someone has to, Katie said. She picked up one of the plasma pistols and checked the charge. 30%. Enough for maybe 6 shots. If I'm not back in 2 hours, seal the ship and don't open it for anything. The jungle was different in daylight, but not less dangerous. Everything seemed to move and breathe around her. Plants that looked normal from far away revealed thorns and strange colors up close. Katie's boots sank into soft ground that might have been soil or might have been something worse. She found a stream after 20 minutes of walking. The water was clear, running over smooth rocks. Katie tested it with a scanner from the ship's emergency kit. The scanner beeped twice and flashed green. Safe to drink, at least by human standards. As she filled the water containers, Katie noticed something on the far bank. Marks in the mud. She crossed the stream carefully and knelt down to examine them. Footprints. 3-toed, each toe ending in what looked like a claw mark. The prints were huge, bigger than her torso, and there were more of them, leading off into the jungle in different directions. Whatever made these tracks, there was more than one of them. Katie stood up and found herself looking at something else. Wreckage. Old wreckage, half buried in vines and rust. She pushed through the undergrowth and found pieces of ships, equipment, personal belongings. The bones came next. They were from different species. Katie recognized some from her cargo routes. Zentari with their elongated skulls. Corthian, small and bird-like. Others she didn't know. All dead, all picked clean. Some of the bones had been arranged in patterns like trophies. One skeleton was smaller than the others, much smaller. Katie felt something cold settle in her stomach. Children. These things had killed children. She heard the movement before she saw it. A soft rustling in the leaves above. Katie spun, raising her pistol, and found herself face to face with one of the Varathians. It was smaller than the ones from the reports, maybe 8 feet tall instead of 12. Younger, Katie guessed. Its armor plating was lighter, and its claws hadn't grown to full size yet. But it was still terrifying, hanging from a branch with 2 arms while the other 2 spread wide like wings. The creature tilted its head, studying her with eyes that looked too intelligent for comfort. "Small human," it said, its voice rough like gravel grinding together. "You not run?" Katie kept her pistol aimed at its head. Her hand was steady even though her heart was racing. No. The Varathian dropped from the branch, landing in a crouch that should have been impossible for something that big. It circled her slowly, always keeping just out of reach. Others run. Others scream, "You different?" "I'm not afraid of you," Katie lied. She was terrified, but her father's voice echoed in her head. "Show fear to a bull, and it will charge. Stand your ground, and sometimes it backs down." The creature made a sound that might have been laughter. "You should fear. Elders come tonight. They bigger, stronger. They break you like others. Let them try." The Varathian stopped circling. It stared at her with something that looked like confusion. "Why you not run?" "Because running doesn't help," Katie said. "You're faster than me, stronger than me. If you want to kill me, you'll do it whether I run or not. So I might as well stand here and make you work for it." For a long moment, the creature didn't move. Then it made another sound, this one different from before. "Interested, maybe? Or surprised, you strange human," it said finally. "Elders will enjoy breaking you." Then it was gone, disappearing into the canopy so fast that Katie barely saw it move. Katie stood there for another minute, making sure it was really gone. Then she let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding, and headed back to the ship at a run. Lisa was waiting at the entrance, looking worried. "You're alive. For now," Katie said. She told Lisa about the encounter while they secured the ship's entrances. "They're going to attack tonight?" Lisa's voice shook. "That's what it said." Katie started pulling debris from the ship's interior, anything that could be used as a weapon or a trap. "So we're going to be ready." They spent the afternoon fortifying their position. Katie used pieces of the hull to create barriers around the ship's entrance. She rigged tripwires using cable from the ship's wiring, connecting them to fuel cells that would explode if triggered. Lisa helped despite her broken arm, creating sharpened poles from metal struts. Danny woke up long enough to ask what was happening. Katie told him they had visitors coming, and he managed a weak smile. "Should have known," he said. "You never did back down from a fight." "Learned it from my dad," Katie said. She was working on a makeshift spear, sharpening the end of a support beam. "He used to say the bull doesn't care how scared you are. You either stand your ground or you get trampled. And if the bull wins, then at least you went down fighting." As the sun started to set, Katie and Lisa took their positions. Katie had the plasma pistol and her makeshift spear. Lisa had the other pistol and was crouched behind the hull barrier. The jungle grew quiet in a way that made Katie's skin crawl. They came at dusk when the light was failing and shadows stretched long and dark. 3 of them, moving through the jungle like ghosts. These were the elders the young one had mentioned. 12 feet tall, covered in scars, their armor plating thick and battle-worn. The leader stopped at the edge of the clearing. In the fading light, its eyes glowed with a color that reminded Katie of fire. "Soft humans," it said, its voice deeper and rougher than the young one's. "We have killed warriors of 100 worlds. You are nothing. Pray food." Katie stood up from her cover. "Then come and get us." The Varathian seemed surprised that she'd answered. "You know you die here? You know we break you?" "I know you're going to try," Katie said. "I also know I'm not going to make it easy." The leader made a sound that was definitely laughter this time. Then it charged. Katie's first tripwire caught it in the legs. The fuel cell exploded and the Varathian stumbled. She fired her pistol, the plasma bolt catching it in the shoulder. The creature roared in pain and anger. The other 2 split up, coming at them from different angles. Lisa fired at one, missing but forcing it to dodge. Katie threw her spear at the other. It batched the weapon out of the air like it was nothing, but it gave Katie time to fall back to the second line of defense. The battle lasted maybe 5 minutes, but it felt like hours. The Varathians were fast and strong, but Katie's trap slowed them down. Every time they tried to press forward, another explosion or wire forced them back. Finally, the leader called out something in its own language. The 3 Varathians retreated into the jungle, disappearing as quickly as they'd come. Katie slumped against the hull, breathing hard. Her shoulder was bleeding from where one of the creatures had gotten close enough to scratch her. Lisa was shaking but unhurt. "They're gone." Lisa whispered. For now, Katie said. But she knew the truth. They'd only retreated because Katie had surprised them. Next time, they'd be ready. Next time would be worse. In the darkness, the leader's voice echoed back to them. Tomorrow, human. Tomorrow we stop playing. Day 3 started with bad news. Danny was barely conscious, his breathing shallow and wet. Katie knew the sound. She'd heard it before. Back on the ranch when animals were dying. He had hours left, not days. Lisa had worked through the night on the beacon. She looked up at Katie with exhausted eyes. I fixed it. The beacon will work, but it needs a power source that can broadcast past the atmosphere. Something strong. Something that can punch through all the interference this planet throws up. How strong? Katie asked. Military grade. Or better. Lisa wiped sweat from her forehead. The kind of power cell that doesn't exist in crashed cargo ships. Katie thought about the trophies she'd seen in the jungle. All that equipment from crashed ships collected over who knows how many years. The Varathians were hunters, but they were also scavengers. They kept what they killed. They have it, Katie said. What? The Varathians. They've been killing people here for years, taking their equipment. Somewhere out there they have a den full of salvaged technology, including power cells. Lisa stared at her. You want to go to their home? Katie, that's suicide. Maybe, Katie said. She checked her plasma pistol. 20% charge left. 3 shots, maybe 4. But Danny's dying. If we don't get that power cell and call for help, he's dead by tonight. We're all dead eventually. Even if you find their den, even if they have what we need, how are you going to take it? There are at least 3 of them, probably more. Katie picked up her makeshift spear and tested its weight. I'm going to do what humans have always done. I'm going to hunt the hunters. Lisa started to argue, but Katie cut her off. You stay here with Danny. If I'm not back in 4 hours, seal the ship and don't open it. Use the pistol charge to make the end quick if they break through. Katie, please. 4 hours, Katie repeated. Then she was gone, moving into the jungle before Lisa could stop her. Tracking the Varathians wasn't hard. The wounded one from last night had left a blood trail. Dark drops on the jungle floor that led deeper into the wilderness. Katie followed it carefully, watching for traps or ambushes. The creatures were smart. They might expect her to follow. The trail led to a cliff face that rose up out of the jungle like a wall. At its base was a cave opening, wide and dark. More blood led inside. Katie could hear sounds from within, clicking and scraping. The movement of large bodies in enclosed spaces. She took a breath, checked her pistol one more time, and entered the den. The cave opened up into a massive chamber lit by bioluminescent fungi growing on the walls. The light was dim and green, making everything look sick and wrong. But it was enough to see what the Varathians had collected. Bones. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Arranged in patterns on the walls and floor. Skulls of different species mounted like art. And among the bones, the equipment. Weapons, tools, parts from ships. Everything the Varathians had taken from their kills over the years. Katie moved deeper into the cave, searching. She found armor made from hull plating. Weapons still charged and ready. Communication devices. And there, in a pile of electronics, she found what she needed. A military-grade power cell still showing 70% charge. She was reaching for it when she heard the voice behind her. Brave little human. Or stupid, maybe both. Katie turned slowly. The Alpha Varathian stood at the cave entrance, blocking her escape. Up close, in the green light, he was even more terrifying. 15 feet tall, covered in scars that told stories of hundreds of battles. His armor was made from the bones of his victims, and his claws were stained dark with old blood. You come to our sacred place, the Alpha said, moving closer. No prey has done this before. You either very brave or very stupid. Katie raised her pistol. I'm neither. I'm desperate. And I'm done being prey. The Alpha made a sound that might have been laughter. You think small weapon stops me? You think you survive here? I think I don't have a choice, Katie said. She gestured at the bones around them. You've been killing anyone who crashes here. Taking trophies? But you made a mistake. And what mistake? You killed children. Katie's voice went cold. I saw their bones out there. You didn't just hunt warriors or explorers. You hunted families. Kids who never had a chance to fight back. The Alpha tilted his head. Prey is prey. Strong or weak, all feed us. That's where you're wrong, Katie said. Because when you kill our children, when you cross that line, humans stop being prey. We become something else. She pulled out a device from her pocket, something she'd built from ship parts before entering the cave. A detonator. She'd spent the last of her time wiring the cave's fuel cell collection with explosives. "This whole place is rigged to blow," Katie said. "You want to kill me? Fine, but I'm taking you and all your trophies with me." The Alpha's eyes narrowed. "Bluff, you die too. You think I care?" Katie's hand was steady on the detonator. "Everything in human history shows we're willing to die to take our enemies with us. We flew planes into enemy ships. We held positions knowing we wouldn't survive. We've never been afraid to die if it means winning." For the first time, the Alpha looked uncertain. "You, different than other prey." "Because I'm not prey," Katie said. "I'm human. And humans don't stay at the bottom of the food chain. We climbed to the top of ours, and we did it by being meaner and more stubborn than everything trying to kill us." The Alpha studied her for a long moment. Then he did something Katie didn't expect. He laughed. A real laugh, deep and loud. "You interesting human. First prey to threaten me. First prey to come to my home. First prey to not beg for life." "I'm not begging for anything," Katie said. The Alpha spread his forearms wide. "Then I offer challenge. Old way, single combat. You and me. No weapons, no tricks. Just strength and will. What are the terms? You win, you take power cell. You and your pack leave planet in peace. We let you call for help. We not hunt you. And if I lose?" The Alpha's smile showed too many teeth. "Then we feast. And you become trophy. Greatest prey we ever kill." Katie looked at the power cell, then at the Alpha, then back at the detonator in her hand. Danny was dying. Lisa was alone. This was their only chance. She put the detonator in her pocket and lowered the pistol. "All right," she said. "Let's do this the old way." The Alpha led her out of the cave to a clearing surrounded by massive trees. Other Varathians appeared from the jungle, at least 6 of them. They formed a circle around the clearing, watching. The young one Katie had met before was among them, its eyes wide. "This not happened before," one of the others said. "Pray not fight. Pray run or die." "This one different," the Alpha said. He stepped into the center of the clearing and dropped into a fighting stance. "This one might actually make interesting fight." Katie walked to the opposite side and rolled her shoulders, loosening her muscles. The gravity was heavier here than on Earth, making every movement harder. The Alpha was 3 times her size and had 4 arms to her too. By every logical measure, this was impossible, but Katie Morgan had spent her whole life doing impossible things. The Alpha roared, the sound echoing through the jungle like thunder. All around them, the other Varathians took up the cry, a chorus of death and challenge. Katie cracked her neck and set her feet. Then she said the words that would define the next few minutes of her life. "Come on then, show me what you've got." The Alpha charged and the fight began. The Alpha moved faster than something that big should be able to move. His claws came at Katie like knives, 4 arms working together in a pattern that would have killed her if she'd been standing still. But Katie wasn't standing still. She dropped and rolled, feeling the wind from his claws pass over her head. The Alpha's momentum carried him forward, and Katie came up behind him, driving her fist into his lower back where the armor plates met. It was like punching stone, but she felt something give. The Alpha spun with a roar, and one of his hands caught Katie across the shoulder. The claws raked through her shirt and skin, drawing blood. Pain exploded down her arm, but she forced herself to move, to keep moving, because stopping meant dying. "You fast," the Alpha said, circling her, but not fast enough. Katie didn't waste breath answering. She was studying him, looking for weaknesses. The way he favored his right side, the old scar across his ribs, the joint in his neck where the armor didn't quite meet. Every predator had weak points. You just had to be willing to find them. The Alpha charged again. This time Katie didn't dodge. She ran straight at him, which was the last thing he expected. At the last second, she slid between his legs, using the heavy gravity to increase her speed. As she passed under him, she drove her elbow up into his knee joint. The Alpha stumbled, not much, but enough. Katie rolled to her feet and grabbed a fallen branch, thick as her arm. When the Alpha turned, she swung it at his head with everything she had. The branch shattered against his skull, but it made him stagger. Katie used the moment to get distance, her mind racing. She couldn't match his strength. She couldn't match his speed for long. But she could think. She could adapt. That's what humans did. "You know what your problem is?" Katie said, breathing hard. Blood ran down her arm from the claw marks. "You've only ever hunted scared prey." The Alpha charged again, angrier now. Katie ducked behind a tree. His claws tore through the trunk like paper, but it bought her a second. She came around the other side and drove her foot into the back of his knee, the one she'd hit before. This time the Alpha went down on one knee. Katie jumped onto his back, wrapping her arms around his neck. The Alpha roared and reached back with two arms, trying to grab her. Katie held on, squeezing with all her strength, targeting his throat. Humans spent 3 million years as prey on our world. Katie gasped, holding on as the Alpha thrashed. Lions, bears, wolves, everything wanted to eat us. You know what we did? The Alpha got his hands on her and pulled. Katie felt her ribs creak under the pressure. He was going to tear her off and break her in half. We learned to fight back, Katie said through gritted teeth. We learned to track the things that hunted us. We learned their patterns, their weaknesses, and then we hunted them. The Alpha slammed backward into a tree, crushing Katie between his bulk and the trunk. The air exploded from her lungs. Her grip loosened. The Alpha reached back and grabbed her, pulling her around to face him. His 4 hands held her arms and legs, stretching her out like she weighed nothing. Brave words, the Alpha said, but words not save you. You brave, you strong for your size, but not strong enough. He started to squeeze. Katie felt her ribs bending, starting to crack. Pain filled her vision with white spots. She could hear the other Varathians making sounds, celebrating, knowing their Alpha was about to win. But Katie's eyes were fixed on the Alpha's throat, stretched out as he held her up, vulnerable, exposed. Her father's voice came back to her, from a day long ago when she'd been learning to wrestle steers. The bigger they are, the harder they fall, but you have to be willing to risk everything for the opening. Katie went limp suddenly, all her weight dropping. The Alpha's grip shifted, adjusting for the change. And in that moment, Katie brought her head forward with every bit of strength she had left, smashing her forehead into his throat. The Alpha's grip loosened, just a fraction. Katie wrenched one arm free and drove her thumb into his eye. The Alpha roared and dropped her, stumbling backward, one hand going to his damaged eye. Katie hit the ground hard, ribs screaming. She could barely breathe. Everything hurt. But she forced herself up, forced herself to move because staying down meant dying. The Alpha recovered faster than she'd hoped. His good eye fixed on her with rage that was almost physical. You hurt me. No prey ever hurt me. I'm not prey, Katie said, swaying on her feet. That's what you keep getting wrong. The Alpha roared and charged one last time. Katie waited, timing it, ignoring her body's screams to run. At the last possible moment, she dropped and rolled to the side. The Alpha's momentum carried him forward, and Katie swept her leg out, catching his ankle. The heavy gravity did the rest. The Alpha fell, hard, his hands going out to catch himself. Katie moved before he could recover, jumping onto his back, wrapping her legs around his waist, her arms around his neck from behind. You want to know what makes humans dangerous? Katie said, squeezing with arms that were shaking from exhaustion and pain. It's not that we're the strongest. It's not that we're the fastest. It's that we never know when to quit. The Alpha tried to reach back, but Katie had positioned herself perfectly. His arms couldn't get the angle. He tried to slam backward into the ground, but Katie held on, adjusting her weight, keeping the pressure on his throat. We track predators that can kill us with one hit, Katie continued, her voice getting weaker as she poured everything she had into the hold. We hunt animals 10 times our size. We sail across oceans that want to drown us. We do impossible things because we're too stupid or too stubborn to know they're impossible. The Alpha was slowing down, his movements getting weaker. Katie could feel his pulse under her arm, racing, struggling. And when you threaten our pack, when you hurt our people, when you cross that line, Katie said, we become something worse than any predator in the galaxy. The Alpha made one last desperate move, standing up and reaching back with all 4 arms. He got his hands on Katie and started to pull. Katie felt her arms being pried away from his neck. He was still too strong. Even dying, he was too strong. But as he pulled her off, his neck stretched out, exposed, and Katie saw her chance. She released her hold willingly, using the momentum of his pull to swing around to his front. For a moment, she was face to face with the Alpha, seeing the surprise in his good eye. Then Katie wrapped her arms around his neck from the front and twisted with everything she had left. The crack echoed through the jungle like a gunshot. The Alpha's body went rigid. His hands loosened. Then slowly, like a tree falling, he toppled forward. Katie barely managed to roll out of the way before 15 feet of dead Varathian hit the ground. The clearing went silent. Katie lay on her back, staring up at the canopy, trying to remember how to breathe. Every part of her hurt. She could feel at least 3 broken ribs, maybe more. Her shoulder was still bleeding. She was pretty sure her left hand was broken, but she was alive, and the Alpha wasn't. Katie forced herself to sit up, then to stand. It took 3 tries, and when she finally made it, she swayed like she was drunk. The other Varathians were staring at her, their eyes wide. None of them moved. Katie walked to the Alpha's body and looked down at it. Then she looked up at the watching circle of Varathians. Anyone else? Her voice came out as a croak, but it carried in the silence. The Varathians backed away. One of them, an older one covered in scars, dropped to his knees and pressed his head to the ground. The others followed. Even the young one Katie had met first was kneeling, his eyes fixed on her with something that looked like fear and respect mixed together. Katie turned and started walking back toward the cave. After a few steps, she stopped and looked back at the young Varathian. "The power cell," she said. "I'm taking it. And you're going to let me." The young one stood up slowly. You kill Alpha. You strongest now. You can take what you want." Katie nodded and continued to the cave. She found the power cell where she'd left it and picked it up with her good hand. The walk back to the ship was a blur of pain and determination. Lisa was waiting at the entrance, eyes wide with shock. "Katie? Oh God, what happened to you?" "Got the power cell," Katie said, handing it over before her legs gave out. "Call for help." The last thing Katie heard before darkness took her was the sound of the emergency beacon activating, broadcasting their location to anyone listening. They'd done it. They'd survived. Against every odd, against a planet that had killed everyone who'd ever landed on it, against predators that had never lost a fight. Katie Morgan and her crew had survived. Katie woke up in a medical bay that was too clean and too bright. For a moment, she didn't know where she was. Then the memories came back. The crash. The Varathians. The fight. "Easy there," a voice said. Katie turned her head and saw Lisa sitting in a chair beside the bed. Her broken arm was in a proper cast now, and she looked tired but healthy. "You've been out for 2 days. Danny?" Katie's voice was rough, her throat dry. Lisa smiled. "Alive. They got him into surgery as soon as the rescue ship arrived. He's going to be fine. We all are, thanks to you." Katie tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Pain shot through her ribs. A medical robot appeared beside the bed, making concerned beeping sounds and adjusting something in her IV. "You've got 3 broken ribs, a fractured hand, 17 stitches in your shoulder, and enough bruises to make a paint store jealous," Lisa said. "The doctors say you should be dead. Or at least should have passed out from pain hours before you did." "Couldn't pass out," Katie said. "Had to get the power cell back." Lisa leaned forward. "Katie, they recorded everything. Your helmet camera was still working. The rescue team saw what you did. So did their captain. So did everyone on their ship." "Great," Katie muttered. "Now everyone knows I'm an idiot who fights monsters." "They don't think you're an idiot," Lisa said quietly. "They think you're a hero. Katie, no one survives Krell 7. In the entire history of that planet, every single person who crashed there died. Until us. Until you." Before Katie could respond, the door opened and a being walked in. He was tall and thin, with blue-gray skin and 4 eyes. Katie recognized the species from her cargo routes. "A Zentari captain. Miss Morgan," he said, his voice carrying a musical quality that Zentari were known for. "I am Captain Vexthar. My ship was the one that picked up your distress signal. I wanted to speak with you personally." "Thank you for the rescue," Katie said. "No, I must thank you," Vexthar said. "You have done something that will be remembered for generations. The Varathians of Krell 7 have been a nightmare for 40 years. They have killed hundreds of beings from dozens of species. Military teams, research groups, explorers, all dead. And then a human cargo pilot defeats their Alpha in single combat. I got lucky." "Luck?" Vexthar's voice rose slightly. "Miss Morgan, I watched the recording. That was not luck. That was skill, determination, and a refusal to accept death. Do you understand what this means?" Katie didn't answer. She was too tired to think about meanings. Vexthar continued anyway. "It means the galaxy has seriously underestimated humanity. We thought of humans as a young species, still finding their place among the stars. But you have shown us something else. You have shown us what humans become when they are cornered." Over the next few days, as Katie recovered, she learned just how far the news had spread. The helmet camera footage had been shared across the Galactic Council networks. Everyone wanted to see the human who had survived Krell 7, the woman who had killed the unbeatable Alpha. Military recruiters contacted her, offering ranks and positions. News agencies wanted interviews. Scientists wanted to study her. Even the Galactic Council sent a formal message congratulating her on advancing human-galactic relations through exceptional courage. Katie turned them all down. She didn't want fame. She didn't want to be studied. She just wanted to get back to hauling cargo and living her life. "You could be rich," Danny said one afternoon. He was out of intensive care now, recovering in a regular room, famous across the galaxy. "Why say no?" "Because I didn't do it for fame," Katie said. She was sitting in a chair by his bed, her ribs still wrapped but healing. "I did it because you needed help. Because Lisa needed help. Because that's what you do for your crew." Danny smiled. "You're a better person than me." "I would have taken the money." "No, you wouldn't," Katie said. "You'd have done the same thing I did if our positions were reversed." 3 weeks after the rescue, Katie was cleared to leave the medical facility. Earth's colonial government held a ceremony and gave her a medal. She accepted it politely, made a short speech about how anyone would have done the same thing, and then left as quickly as possible. Lisa and Danny stuck with her. They'd been through something together that bonded them deeper than any normal crew relationship. They became a real team, and when Katie went back to hauling cargo, they went with her. The requests for interviews continued for months. Katie ignored them all. But she did agree to let her story be told in a documentary, with one condition. She wanted other humans to know that they were capable of more than they thought. That being human meant never giving up, no matter how impossible things seemed. 6 months after leaving Krell 7, Katie received a package at the space station where she was loading cargo. There was no return address, but the postmark showed it had been processed through the Krell system. Inside was a tooth. It was huge, longer than Katie's hand, carved with intricate patterns. A chain made of braided metal ran through a hole drilled in the root. There was also a message written in Galactic Standard. "You taught us that true strength is not in the body, but in the spirit. You showed us that courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to act despite it. The hunt has changed because of you, Katie Morgan. We no longer kill all who land on our world. We give them the chance to prove themselves as you did. Many still die, but some now live. You have saved lives you will never meet, changed a culture that thought it could not change. We honor you, breaker of the unbreakable, teacher of a new way. May your hunts be successful and your spirit remain strong." From Carethus, speaker for the Varathians of Krell 7. Katie held the tooth for a long time, running her fingers over the carvings. Lisa found her in the cargo bay staring at it. "You going to wear it?" Lisa asked. Katie considered. The tooth represented everything she'd been through. The fear, the pain, the determination. It was a reminder that she'd survived something that should have killed her. She put it around her neck. "Sometimes the best reminder of what you've survived is carrying a piece of it with you," Katie said. News of the gift spread too. The Galactic Council updated Krell 7's status. It was still a dangerous world, but no longer rated as absolutely lethal. Rescue stations were established in orbit. More people survived crashes on the planet. Not all of them, but more than before. Katie's reputation grew whether she wanted it or not. Human colonies requested her for protection details. Military academies wanted her to teach. But Katie kept saying no. She had cargo to haul and a crew to take care of. One evening, sitting in the cockpit of their ship while traveling between stars, Danny asked her a question. "Do you ever think about going back?" "To Krell 7? Katie looked out at the stars, one hand unconsciously touching the tooth around her neck. "Every day," she admitted, "but not to fight. To see if the changes stuck. To see if Carethus kept his word. And maybe someday I will. But not today. Today we have cargo to deliver and places to be." Danny smiled. "Boring places, hopefully?" Katie laughed. "Yeah, let's try boring for a change." But they all knew boring wasn't in Katie Morgan's nature. The galaxy was full of impossible things, dangerous places, and challenges that people said couldn't be overcome. And somewhere out there was another person who needed help, another crew in danger, another chance to prove that humans didn't break easily. The tooth around Katie's neck caught the starlight as their ship jumped to faster-than-light travel. Behind them, Krell 7 was just another planet in an endless galaxy. But for Katie Morgan and her crew, it would always be the place where they learned what they were truly capable of. The place where a human proved that no deathworld is truly unsurvivable, that no predator is truly unbeatable, that courage and determination can overcome impossible odds. The place where 3 cargo haulers survived when hundreds of others had died. And as the stars streaked by their viewport, Katie Morgan smiled. She'd spent her whole life being told what was impossible. Growing up on a ranch in Montana, working her way up from nothing, becoming a cargo pilot in a galaxy full of older, more established species, she'd been underestimated her entire life. And that was fine with her, because being underestimated meant people never saw you coming. And Katie Morgan had learned long ago that the most dangerous opponent is the one you don't take seriously until it's too late. The beast had roared that no human survives here. But Katie had survived. And in doing so, she'd changed not just her own fate, but the fate of everyone who came after her. She'd proven that humanity's place in the galaxy wasn't to be prey. It was to be survivors, fighters, and above all, proof that sometimes the smallest, weakest-looking opponent is the one you should fear the most. The tooth around her neck was a reminder of that truth. And Katie wore it proudly, not as a trophy of victory, but as a promise. A promise that she would never stop fighting, never stop surviving, never stop proving what humans were capable of when they refused to give up. In the medical bay, Danny slept peacefully alive because Katie had refused to let him die. In the engineering section, Lisa worked on the ship's systems, confident because Katie had shown her that impossible just meant difficult. And in the cockpit, Katie Morgan guided their ship through the stars, heading toward their next destination, whatever it might be, because that's what humans did. They moved forward. They survived. They thrived.